Miami, 1974. Ali is 32 years old. He's been fighting again for 3 years, but the edge has changed. He's still the fastest, still the smartest fighter in any ring. But he's aware, in a way he wasn't before, that he's not forever. That youth is a resource that depletes. The gym is one he owns now, bigger than the basement operations he trained in as a young fighter. Professional setup. The sound system plays soft R&B in the background. Morning light comes through high windows. A young fighter is there. Name is Marcus, 23 years old. Built like a sculpture, the kind of natural athlete who comes around maybe once in a generation. He's been training with Ali's camp for about 6 months, and he's getting confident. Maybe too confident. Marcus is working the heavy bag, and he's fast. Really fast. Not Ali fast, but fast enough that everyone in the gym is impressed. He's been hitting the bag for 20 minutes straight, and his combinations are clean, efficient, powerful. Ali watches from across the gym, sipping water from a bottle. He doesn't say anything, just observes. When Marcus finishes, he walks over to where Ali is standing. He's breathing hard, but not exhausted. He's at that point in training where he's proving something to himself. "Coach," Marcus says, "I've been thinking." Ali nods, waiting. "I don't think I need to shadow box anymore. I don't think I need the slow work. I'm ready to move up. Get some real fights, real opponents." There's no arrogance in how he says it, just confidence. Just a young athlete assessing his own progress and finding himself ready. Ali sets his water bottle down. "You think you're ready?" "I know I'm ready," Marcus says. "You've seen me work. I've got the speed, I've got the footwork, I've got the fundamentals." Ali nods slowly. "You do?" Something in that acknowledgement makes Marcus lean back slightly. He was expecting resistance, expecting to have to argue. Ali agreeing throws him off balance psychologically. "So I can move up?" Marcus asks. "Come here," Ali says. "I want to show you something." They walk over to a large mirror on the gym wall, the kind professional fighters use to check their form. "Look at yourself," Ali says. Marcus looks at his reflection. He sees what he sees most days, a young, powerful fighter with fast hands and sharp footwork. "What do you see?" Ali asks. "I see a fighter," Marcus says. "Wrong," Ali says. "You see a mirror, that's all that is. A reflection, not reality." Ali steps in front of the mirror and looks at his own reflection. He's 32 now. His face shows the years, the mileage, the fights he's been through. He moves his hand slowly in front of the mirror and watches his own reflection move. "When I was your age," Ali says, "I thought the same thing. I thought I had it figured out. I thought I knew how to throw a punch, how to move, how to win. And I was right. I did know how to do those things. But I didn't understand something crucial." He turns away from the mirror to face Marcus directly. "Come at me," Ali says. "Slow. I want you to throw a punch at me at maybe 30% power. A jab, just practice speed." Marcus is confused, but complies. He throws a slow jab at Ali's face. Ali moves his head and lets the punch pass inches away from his face. "Again," Ali says. Marcus throws another jab. Ali slips it. Again. This time Marcus throws with more commitment. Ali slips it with the same ease. "Now I want you to try to hit me," Ali says. "I'm not going to move this time. I'm just going to stand here. I want you to find my face with your fist." Marcus throws a jab. Ali doesn't move. The punch hits the palm of his hand held in front of his face. Soft impact, like hitting a pillow. "Again," Ali says. Marcus throws another jab. Ali catches it in the same hand, effortlessly. Again. And this time, commit. Put some real power behind it. Marcus throws a combination now, 3 quick jabs, each one harder than the last. Ali catches all 3 in his open palm. The impacts are solid now, real, but his hand barely moves. "Feel that?" Ali asks. "Yeah," Marcus says. "That's the difference between knowing how to punch and understanding what a punch really is." Ali steps back and drops his hand. "You hit me as hard as you can right now," Ali says, "and I can catch it in my hand. Why? Not because I'm stronger than you. I'm not. Not because I'm faster. You're faster than you think you are, but because I understand something you don't understand yet." Marcus waits. A punch, Ali says, is only as powerful as the structure behind it. The strongest punch in the world is worthless if the person throwing it doesn't understand where the power comes from. Ali takes Marcus's hand and places it on his own chest. Feel my breathing? Yeah, that's where it starts. Breathing. The first thing people teach you is how to generate power from your legs and hips. They teach you the mechanics, but they skip the part that actually matters, the part that comes before the mechanics. Ali walks Marcus through the gym to a window overlooking Miami Beach. Look out there, Ali says. At what? Marcus asks. At everything. At the people walking, the cars moving, the water flowing. Every single thing you're seeing is made possible by one thing: decision. The water decided to flow, the people decided to walk, the cars decided to move. And before any movement, before any action, there's that decision. Ali turns back to Marcus. When I throw a punch, Ali continues, I've already decided exactly what the punch does before my fist moves. I've decided where it goes, how hard it travels, what it's supposed to accomplish, and what happens after it lands. And that decision is made here. He taps his temple. But you, Ali says, when you throw a punch, you're discovering what the punch does as you throw it. You're trying to steer it in mid-flight. And that hesitation, that uncertainty, that's what slows you down. That's what makes you miss. That's what makes you vulnerable. Marcus is listening now. Really listening. I watched you hit the heavy bag today, Ali says. You were beautiful, smooth, fast, perfect form. But you know what I saw? What? I saw someone who's still learning to fight, not because your technique is bad. Your technique is excellent, but because you're still thinking about your technique while you're fighting. Ali walks back to stand directly in front of Marcus. Every fighter has a speed limit, Ali says, and that speed limit isn't determined by how fast your hands are, it's determined by how fast your mind can make decisions. The moment you have to think about what punch to throw, you're too slow. The moment you have to calculate your distance, you're too slow. The moment you have to remember what foot to step with, you're too slow. Ali demonstrates a slow punch. This is thinking, this is deciding. Then he throws the same punch at full speed. The movement is so fast that even watching for it, it's barely visible. This is knowing. So how do I get there? Marcus asks. Repetition, Ali says, not repetition of punches. Repetition of decision-making. You have to throw the same combination 10,000 times, not to condition your muscles, to reprogram your mind so that it doesn't have to think anymore, so that when danger appears, your response is automatic. Ali walks back to the mirror. The mirror lies to you, Ali says, gesturing at the reflection. It shows you what you look like when you're thinking about how you look, when you're performing for the mirror. But when you're actually fighting, when someone is actually trying to hurt you, you can't afford to think about what you look like. Marcus nods slowly. The greatest fighters, Ali says, are the ones who've trained so much that thinking becomes a luxury. They move without deciding. They attack without planning. They respond to chaos without calculating. And they got there by doing the boring work, the repetition, the failure, the thousands of hours when no one was watching and nothing was happening. Ali sits down on a bench and gestures for Marcus to sit too. I'm going to tell you something, Ali says, that nobody told me when I was your age. When I was your age, I was the fastest, strongest, best fighter anyone had ever seen. And I thought that was enough. I thought speed was the answer. I thought moving faster than other people could think was mastery. Ali pauses. And then I lost, he says. Not my first professional fight, but I lost publicly in front of the world, and that loss taught me something that 10,000 victories couldn't teach me. What? Marcus asks. That winning isn't the same as understanding, Ali says. That speed isn't the same as mastery. That being the best at something isn't the same as understanding why you're the best at it. Ali stands up and walks back to the heavy bag. He puts on hand wraps and then gloves. I could teach you how to be fast, Ali says. I could teach you how to punch hard. I could teach you how to move better than 99% of the fighters you'll ever face. He throws a combination at the heavy bag. It's slow, deliberate, heavy, powerful, the kind of work that doesn't look impressive until you understand what's happening. But all of that is useless, Ali continues, if you don't understand that the real power comes from here. He stops and places his gloved hand over his heart. Every punch you throw, Ali says, is a decision your heart made before your brain even knew about it. The speed you have, the power you have, the technique you have, those are just the translation of that decision into physical form. Marcus watches Ali throw more combinations. They're not flashy, they're not fast, but they're powerful in a way that's hard to explain. It's like watching someone move with total certainty, total clarity. That's what I learned after I lost, Ali says. I learned that being fast and being great are two different things. Being fast means you're ahead of your opponent. Being great means you understand your opponent before he even knows he's facing you. Ali steps back and removes his gloves. So here's my answer to your question, Ali says. You're not ready to move up. Not yet. Not because you're not good enough, but because you're still asking the wrong questions. Marcus's face falls slightly. You're asking if you're fast enough, Ali continues. You're asking if you're strong enough. You're asking if you're skilled enough. But those aren't the questions that matter. The question that matters is, do you understand why you're fast? Do you understand where your power comes from? Do you understand what a punch really is when everything else is stripped away? How do I find the answers? Marcus asks. You keep training, Ali says, but you train differently now. You don't train to get faster. You train to understand speed. You don't train to get stronger. You train to understand power. You don't train to perfect your technique. You train to make your technique invisible. Ali puts a hand on Marcus's shoulder. The shadow boxing that you think is beneath you, Ali says, that's where the real work happens. That's where you learn to make decisions without an opponent to react to. That's where you learn to move with certainty instead of with thought. That's where you become great instead of just fast. Marcus nods slowly. How long before I'm ready? He asks. That depends, Ali says. On what? On how many times you're willing to throw a punch that nobody sees. How many times you're willing to work when there's no audience. How many times you're willing to be bored out of your mind, doing the same movement over and over until your body stops asking permission from your brain. Ali walks toward the door to leave the gym floor. One more thing, he says, turning back. Every single great fighter you've ever heard of had moments where they thought they were better than they were, had moments where they thought they had figured it out, and every single one of them had that moment broken by someone or something or just by experience. The question isn't whether you'll have that moment. The question is what you'll do when it happens. What did you do? Marcus asks. I kept training, Ali says. I went back to basics. I stopped trying to be the greatest and started trying to be better than I was yesterday. And somewhere along the way, I became the greatest without even trying. 3 years later, Marcus is ready. He fights his first professional bout and wins impressively. But he never forgets that conversation, and every time he finds himself thinking he's figured it out, every time he feels that moment of false confidence creeping in, he hears Ali's voice. Every punch you throw is a decision your heart made before your brain even knew about it. Marcus becomes a very good fighter, not great, but very good, and part of that is because he learned the lesson that Ali spent 30 years learning, that mastery isn't about being the best at something. It's about understanding something so deeply that being the best becomes a side effect. Ali never fought Marcus in the ring. They were never opponents. But Ali gave him something more valuable than a fight. He gave him permission to be bad for longer than he was comfortable with. Permission to be unfinished. Permission to understand that the real championship isn't won in the ring. It's won every single day in the training when no one's watching. When you're throwing punches at empty air. When you're perfecting a movement nobody cares about. When you're making decisions your heart already made but your hands haven't learned yet. That's what separates the greatest from the rest. Not speed, not power, not talent, but the willingness to be invisible for long enough to truly understand. And when you do, when you finally understand, then when you step into the ring, it's not about deciding anymore, it's about knowing. And knowing is always faster than thinking. Always.